Hey there. Hi, Louise. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, welcome.
Louise Cartwright is a coach from the UK. And you know what, Louise? Why don't you introduce yourself? And we just had a really interesting conversation. I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name's Louise, obviously, and I run a company called My Happy Space. I've actually only been called My Happy Space for about 6 months. Before that, I was predominantly fitness-based, so I was Revolution Fitness Solutions. And I coach women around recognising, energising and realising their greatest potential in all areas of their life.
And you know why I wanted you to do that? Because when I asked you, what's your introduction? How do you want me to introduce you? You were like, oh, I'm Louise from My Happy Space. And I was like, okay, but are you a coach? Are you this? Are you that? What do you do? What's the title? What's the title? And you said, you brought up two very interesting questions. Would you mind sharing that with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be truthful, it was really about owning my greatness, right? So when people say to me, how did you set up in business? And I go, oh no, I don't have a business, I'm self-employed. Because having the business had such a huge attachment to it for me, and I couldn't see myself as that person. So it took me a long time to say, I do own a business. And there was so much. I'd always had, we'll probably come into this later, but I'd had a lot of issues around body image and weight from quite a young age, right up until probably my early 30s. And so that's where all my self-worth or lack of self-worth manifested. But the minute I set up in business, oh my God, the self-worth issues came straight over to who's going to pay me? Who am I to go out and do a fitness? I don't have a six-pack. I don't run marathons. I don't, And it was a really uncomfortable journey. And I avoided networking because I didn't want to come out and say, this is what I do.
Do you ever have those moments that, you know what, I can't put up a sexy image in a bikini on the beach like most other fitness trainers do?
Absolutely. And, and actually on my Facebook page, the one that I've had from when I'm so not my group and my page, earlier at the end of last year, there was a trigger for some reason, and I had a massive rant on video. And I actually lifted up my top and I just said, if I poke my belly here, it wobbles. But you know what? I work out 5 to 6 days a week. I eat really well. But on a weekend, I'm drinking wine and I'm eating cheese. And I love going out for dinner with my husband. And trying to encourage people to say, it's not just about what you look like. Actually, it's nothing to do with what you look like on the outside. It's everything to do with what you look like on the inside. And we should be able to turn ourselves inside out, right? And have a look at our organs and our soul and say, what makes me. So it took me a long time and so now one of my blocks is just really having that confidence to say, this is what I do. I know I do it, but it's almost like just that final little bit of ownership of this is what I've evolved into. It's been a long journey, and this is where I am now, and I'm ready to fly. Yeah.
Owning that this is who I am and this is what I do, claiming that title for yourself. So many women struggle with it. I've done 100, almost not quite 100, but I've done a large number of online business courses, right, that teach you to start your own business and claim dramatic results. And you know what? I see the women from most of them. And in fact, what am I saying about others? I myself, we as women, we struggle to claim our stake, to put a stake in the ground and say, this is who I am and this is what I do. And it's so much deeper. And it's not just, you talked about body issues, but it is so much deeper.
Yeah.
And so when we were, before hitting record, when you said, I'm still figuring out what to call myself or who I am, it's like, yes, we have to get that on camera.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Everyone struggles with it. I hate calling myself a business coach. That is effectively what I do. But I hate calling myself a business coach. So I went with a business mentor.
Yeah.
It just seems safer, right? It's just about being comfortable in your own skin with who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Interest, really amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think as well, we were talking about all the coaches that we see plastered all over Facebook with these, you know, earn 10k in 7 days, and you know, it's just as bad as the PTs that say lose 14 pound in, you know, in a week or whatever, and it's not, when we go for that, we lose the essence of who we are. And
Yes.
you know, I've worked with a few, I've never had a one-to-one coach, but I've worked with several business coaches, either in a mastermind or, you know, I was, when I very first got into fitness, I was part of a big American group. And at the time, even though I'd been on my spiritual journey for about 5 years, I was very much still in that space that everybody knows more than me. Right, so I'm down here and everyone else is up here. And this company was saying, right, you need to be earning this. You need to have staff. You need to have a studio. You're not, you know, if people want you, if they're fat and they want you, they'll pay for you no matter how much you charge. And at the time, my physical and sort of spiritual reaction was like,
yeah, I know that.
And
yes.
I thought, oh my God, I'm just not meant to be a woman in business. But actually, it was because the message was so anti everything.
Out of sync. It was so, yeah. You know what? Like I said, I'm a business coach, right? I help other women grow their businesses. I understand all the ins and outs of business. And yet, every time I sign up, I keep signing up for these courses as market research, and see what's going on in there. And every time I sign up, though I understand that they use NLP, though I understand how their copy is written, and I can, you know, interpret that this word really means this kind of result really means this is what happened. I can see through all of that. And yet, when I get into those courses, I feel, oh my God, there's no way I can do this.
Absolutely.
I feel out of sync, and though I know exactly how to do things, I know what the way that works for me, and I know how I work.
That's so important, and I think the revelation really started for me last year. I was up in London with my sister, and I'm not going to give any names away, but we was watching a very famous woman speak for an hour or so, and she's up on the stage, and she had literally, there were people bowing to her. And I thought, what a crock of shit, because there is nobody, maybe I might do it to the Dalai Lama or something, but there is nobody that is above anybody. We're all just different. And she was on the stage talking away, and I said to my sister, I could say what she's saying. It's not rocket science. And then literally every book I've read, I'm thinking, I could have written that. If I'd believed in myself, I could have written that. And now I'm at the stage where I think I know so much. And it's owning that thing that I might be, you know, 2 years down the line to somebody else. But that person where I was 2 years ago needs to know that jump of 2 years can be monumental.
Absolutely. Have you heard the term imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Yes, right? That's exactly it. And as women, we are somehow conditioned throughout our lives, whether it was in school, at home, or wherever, we are conditioned to think less of ourselves. We are conditioned to doubt ourselves. Yeah. And that's why even when you step into business, like you said, you know, when you step into business, it brings out all the issues. Whatever issues you ever had in the past, stepping into your own business is going to blow them up big time.
Absolutely. You know, and I did my NLP training and my timeline therapy at the end of last year. And the reason I did it was because I wanted to be able to go a bit deeper with clients, but then I thought I'm a courseaholic, so like you, I'll buy the next one. I just need to know that, and so I've promised my husband now, no more. I need to go make some courses, and then I'll you know. But anyway, I'd done NLP, and I'd read a lot about the girls that had done it previously, and they was talking about these massive life transformations, and I came away thinking, okay, so when's my life going to really do this massive shift where I can go out and get my high-end clients and da-da-da? But it's almost like, one of my colleagues described it as, it's like being a snow globe, and you get shook up and then everything starts to settle. And all of a sudden it was like, I don't have these issues around money anymore. It's the strategy behind it. And, you know, and so that was a massive change for me. And I'm a twin, right? So I find it fascinating that I've been brought up in the same household with the same parents at exactly the same time, and yet me and my twin are completely different.
Twin
So,
sister.
Sister. So and we're very, very close, but we're completely different. And so it's when you're that young, your perception of the world, you have no control over that. So she may have seen my mum say something about, you know, not having achieved anything in her life, and I've taken it one way and she's taken it the other. But there comes a point in time when you get to our kind of age where you go, right, well, that was then and this is now, and now I need to move on, and I've got to own who I am, and it's up to you to do the work to get it, or you just keep moaning about it.
And it's all about believing in yourself. Like you said a little while ago, you look around the room and it seems everyone is ahead of you, and yet when you look a bit closer, you realize that what they're doing is not that great. I mean, you could do that too. You know more than that. You could do more than that. You could be more than that. If only you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the whole imposter syndrome thing coming back. As women, we do not believe in ourselves. We do not believe that we can have or be that person on the stage. Once you start believing that you can be that person on the stage or that person running the show, you absolutely can. There's no one better or worse than you. It is more about, like you said, it's just different. It's not that they're better, they're just different.
Yeah.
And they have the confidence to do it.
Yeah, and that's why you get attracted to different people, right? So, you know, and also you get attracted to people at different times in your life.
Yes.
So when I first came across Anthony Robbins, I was like, oh, not another American, can't be doing with it. He's too shouty, he's too masculine. Now I absolutely love what he stands for, because he doesn't take any shit. He tells you can turn your life around like that. And he's absolutely true, you know, but at the time I didn't want to see that. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You've got to get to that evolution where you're ready. I can't make you ready. You can't make me ready. You've got to say, okay, I've had in, one of my hashtags is own your bullshit story. Because part of my journey has been a people pleaser. So I will go out of my way at my suffering and my expense, whatever, to make sure that you're happier than I am.
Yes.
You know, and
you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah, so many of us.
It's again a common theme amongst women.
Yeah.
You are brought up being told that you have to please everyone. You've got to be the good girl. You've got to keep everyone happy. You've got to keep everyone together. You've got to give.
Absolutely. And you get to that stage where you can't. And I had a massive wake-up call a couple of years ago, and a couple of my clients tried to take me to court. Not for a lot of money, but nonetheless, it was a massive, that was probably the massive start of this last sort of 18-month, 2-year journey. And when I was able to sit back and recognise that it was a reflection of me not loving myself enough and trusting my experience and trusting my knowledge and all that, I became a little bit harder. And now, instead of pussyfooting around clients, because it doesn't do them any favours, I say to them, I'm not, that's your story, but you need to change it. And some clients have not liked it, which is fair enough. But that's part of my evolution. And if I go back on that now, that's me becoming inauthentic again. That's me giving you what you think you need. Whereas from my opinion, if you want that softly approach, then you need to go somewhere else. I'm not saying I'm going to beat on you, but I am going to call you out and say, you've got to own it. Because if I didn't own my shitty story, then I'd still be working in a petrol station.
Incredible. Since we are talking about stories and owning your story, what I see as when we started, we were talking about creating the life you crave, or what holds women back from creating the life they crave, right? And I think one of the biggest things there is that we buy into that story. We buy into the story that the world tells us, that this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, and don't you dare think beyond that. We buy into that story. We're afraid to create our own story. We get so used to living by other people's rules, and the story that they've created for us, we buy into it, and you get stuck in that victim mode. And until you can see beyond that, that is just one story created by XYZ, whoever that person is or people are around you, that you've bought into. Once you can see that it is just a story and that you can write another story, that changes everything. Once you start owning that you can write another story, and once you, of course, start writing it, that changes everything. But as women, I see that we are hesitant to do that. We are hesitant to call the BS on that story that was woven around us, that told us that we can only be so little, that we can only do so much, that, we kind of grow up, but we never get out of that little girl mindset, that 10-year-old or 15-year-old who's craving her peers' attention or her mother's love or whatever other acknowledgement, right? Trying to look pretty. We never grow out of that 15-year-old or 10-year-old craving attention.
And I think as well, because it's done so unconsciously. So even if you've never heard, this is what your life will look like, we assume that it's what it's gonna look like.
Yes.
And that's what makes it very difficult, because then we get a little bit older, we recognise that we're not really happy with where we are, but the journey to go to where we want to go, we think it's so massive, when in actual fact, it's just, I say this to my clients now, it's just a matter of changing your belief and your behaviour. It is as simple as that.
It's simple for you and me to say, because I can see that, we've gone through the pain, we've gone through the struggle. But 5 years ago, when I was in the middle of a lot of shit, I wouldn't have been able to see that.
Absolutely.
What I saw ahead, I saw a single path ahead, and that was not good.
Yeah.
It was messy, it was dirty, it was full of thorns, and I was not happy. And that's not where I wanted to go, but I didn't know there was anything beyond that. It wasn't until that I was willing to get uncomfortable and look beyond what I knew, or beyond what I thought I knew, that yes, it is possible to be a single mom, that yes, I do not have to be married even if I am in India, that yes, it is okay to be divorced in India. Those are things that I would have never thought possible. And it was a very, very painful journey for me to remove those, those blinders like they put on a horse, to remove, oh, that's possible, that's possible. I can also have that. That opening up of possibilities, of knowing that there are other stories, other worlds, other possibilities for you to choose from. That is what I want women to have. That is what I want women to know.
Absolutely. And it's that whole thing, is what you've just said about taking the blinkers off, is that we get so into where we are. So I had a similar story to you. I was married and divorced, and the kids were small, and all of a sudden I thought, I did have a problem living on my own, but obviously financially it was, I was insecure about everything, and you've got to create this new life, and it was a little bit of a thing where, well, that didn't work, so what can I do now? I almost felt like it was a chance to decide what I wanted, but you've got to take yourself out of that focus of where you're at, and instead of problem, you have to focus on the vision.
Yes, what do you actually want?
And then there's a lot of traffic.
Yes.
And I think another thing is that people, they get so caught up with, I really have a big issue with the word goal, right? I don't like the word goal.
Yes.
I hate the whole goal setting scenario, because it for me, it lends itself to not having any kind of emotion or feeling attached to it. It's just a thing. So, and it stops people evolving, because they go, right, in 5 years' time, I'm going to be there. Well, what happens if, in that 5 years, something happens and you get divorced, or you lose a leg, or you whatever? Allow yourself to have excuse me 1 second, Summer, turn it off. Allow yourself to have a bigger vision, but trust the evolution.
Exactly.
Because where I started 5 years ago, I would never ever be where I am now if I had stuck to that goal. Yeah.
I'm growing like immediate, because 5 years ago, I would have never thought it's possible for me to create what I have today. And So you bring it up. One of the things that I do with my clients is when we start, I ask them to set a money goal, etc. But more than that, I have them write down who they want to be as a person. We do have, right? We do have is very, very much there. It's quite common. There are lots of books and stuff about it. But I add feel. How do you want to feel?
Yeah.
How do you want to feel when you are that person, when you have that, when you do that? How do you want to feel? Because that's very important. As women, we feel. And again, in media, everywhere you're told that women are emotional, they're irrational, they're crazy. They're too feely, needy and feely, right? That's media. And for the longest time, I told you I was in semiconductor software, right? Very, very male-dominated work. And I had cut off that part of myself completely, the feeling part. And I realized now that's how I work better. I used to be heavily analytical. I still am heavily analytical, very strategic, etc. But I'm opening up to feeling, right? And unless you feel a certain way, you can't achieve that business goal. If you're not feeling happy about the process of creating that business, you can't achieve that business goal. So all those big numbers that people throw around, 10K, 100K, 200K, 500K, right? Oh, I made 500K in 3 years, but how did you feel through the process?
And that's it, isn't it? We discussed it earlier on as well, to say that there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with wanting it all. Yes. Right? So we're sort of, I remember when I was younger and my mum and dad made me say our prayers before we went to bed. And it'd be a case of, if Father Christmas brings me that bike, then I promise I won't eat cake again or whatever. So you're constantly having this bargaining tool. Like, if I can just have that, then I won't have that. If I can just find that, and I remember my husband now, we've been married 9 years, but we had a horrible time. But anywho, I remember saying doing this little thing when he left me, saying, if he comes back, I don't care if we never have any money. I was lying because we understand, right? You want to be able to put your kids through college, and you want to be able to drive a nice car, you want to be able to give money to charity, and you want to be able to take your parents away, and all those kind of things. You need the money, but you need the foundation more.
Yes.
So like I said to you, when I left my job to come into business, I was earning £700 a month in an office, working 20 hours a week. And then when I got into the studio, I was earning probably 4 or 5 times that, and it was a lot of money for me, but I was really, really unhappy. So that wasn't success for me. That was money, and I could go afford to do some stuff that I hadn't been able to do before, and it served a purpose at the time, but it didn't fill my soul the way that I feel now with my business. And that's what you say about, it's about, you can say certain things, but you've got to say what resonates with you, because that will resonate with somebody else who is attracted to you. And forget all the tricky sales copy and saying this to make somebody else think that. Just, God's sake, just say it how it is, and somebody will like what you've got to say.
Yes. It will reach whoever it needs to reach.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing now. I think Kim, who introduced us, I think she talks about this a lot, where your BS filter is really, really like, we're super sensitive to that, and we can see bullshit from a mile off, and I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the revolution now, where women are coming out and just genuinely being in business and saying, yeah, damn right, I'm out to earn money, but I'm going to do it, being nice about it, and I'm gonna be happy.
Absolutely. That's what my work is about. On my website, that's why I don't have the numbers. I don't make claims like, this client made 10K within 2 weeks of working with me, or that person made 30K within 2 months of working with me, things like that. Because that's not relevant. It doesn't tell you how long they have been in business before that, and what their background was, what stage they were at prior to starting work with me. It doesn't tell you any of that. Instead, what I talk about is, how does your business make you feel?
Yeah.
Is it right for you where you are in your personal journey, right? And I talk about business not being, yes, it's important to make money in business, but women like us, we're in business not just for the money, but to serve others, to help others, and for ourselves, to grow. to grow into the person we want to be, to grow into the kind of life we want to create.
Yeah.
So
But what you just said there,
multifaceted.
you just came up there and said about like serving and things, and that was I had that issue at the very beginning when people kept going on about what's your big why. And at the time, my big why really was, I don't want to work for somebody else. I didn't have this thing to go build somewhere. But I felt that wasn't enough. And I think it's important that women know that is enough.
That is enough. That is absolutely enough. When I quit my job in 2014, I had a lot of health issues. My marriage was falling apart. And I just hated getting up in the morning and going to work. At that point of time, I didn't think that I'd be doing what I do today. But my only reason for at that time, starting for myself in business, I just wanted to get out of that job.
Yeah.
And I did what came easiest to me. I started writing blog posts, etc., around technical articles, right? And while I enjoyed it initially, I love writing, and I enjoyed it initially. Within 6 months, I was kind of burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was no longer in it. Because you know what? Give me any tech topic, and I can write a damn good article on it in a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, after your 300th article, it becomes really boring.
Yeah.
And that is when I realized the importance of having a passion or a purpose behind your business. Right? I'd always wanted to help empower women. I didn't know how. And when I was able to integrate that into the work I do and actually be paid for that, right? Today I can get on and talk about this stuff or help women or talk about business, etc., even if I weren't paid for it, because I'm so driven by it, right? Once you have that passion, once it's in alignment, that's when the fireworks go off and things start falling in place. But when you start at the beginning, you don't have to have a big vision and a big why. It will be something simple as I need to put rent on. I need to pay my rent. I need to put food on the table. I just want to get out of that job. It's a very toxic environment. So it's okay. Whatever your why is, it doesn't have to be this big. It doesn't have to encompass the whole universe or the whole world. You don't have to be out to change the world from day one.
Yeah.
But you can start wherever you are. Just start wherever you are. And over time, once you find your footing, then that is when your message will grow. That's when your vision will go beyond the rent and the food and the money.
Absolutely. And then because you're impacting more people and then your vision grows with it, perhaps, maybe it won't. And I think that's the permission you have to give yourself, is to say, as long as I know that I'm putting in 100% and I'm following this inner guidance system, then however it evolves, it will evolve. If you end up on the stage and writing a book and doing a podcast and being interviewed by Oprah, that's really great. If you end up, doing it for 3 or 4 hours a day while your kids are at school until it doesn't matter as long as you're happy. Absolutely. And that's a massive block, is that people are trying to create a success based on what somebody else tells them success is.
Yes. We talked about that a bit in Soleil's interview as well. That, how we're conditioned that the benchmark for success, we are conditioned to use money as the benchmark for success. Yes, money is important. Yes, it gets you a certain kind of lifestyle. But once you've met that, then the incremental happiness you get from extra money, it reduces.
Well, I know that research tells you that once you're above the breadline, there is no correlation between happiness and money. Yes. And on a masterminding call yesterday, and the mastermind coach is reading Bob Proctor's book, and he gave at the time I don't know how long ago it was, but say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, he listed out the top 6 richest men in the world. And they'd all been at a conference. 25 years later, I think most of them are dead. 3 had committed suicide. Somebody was in prison. So tell me their vision gets them going. It didn't. Because the thing is, the more money you've got, almost the less meaning things have. Because if you can go buy everything, you can't buy that inner peace. You can go and might be able to go and buy a bloody island somewhere and sit on it, but if you can't if you just can't get that peace now, you're not going to get it when you're a millionaire.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
unless you're really on the breadline.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as
And
you're above the breadline, you're good.
yeah, and you know what? That's been a massive learning curve for me, because sort of 10 years ago, my husband and I, we handed back the keys to a house. So we were blacklisted. We had about £50,000 worth of debt. We were living in a tiny, we didn't have a home. We didn't own a car. He had a company car. We literally didn't ever get out of our overdraft. And at the time, I just thought, this is what it's going to be like. But there was almost this collective consciousness between us. We knew that from the time we handed our keys back to the house, we had 6 years to lose that blacklisted status. And it was something that was never really discussed. We just knew that something had to happen, because in 6 years we would buy a house. And that coincided with me finding this extra money to become a personal trainer. And it was this series of events that led to the fact that I was doing 2 jobs, but one of them I really loved. We saved a deposit, we cleared all our debt, we bought a house, and we've now got money in the bank. But it was about becoming in alignment with the possibility. So one of my affirmations is, I have the limitless possibilities and potential of the universe, because I am the universe. And when you get into that, you have no idea how many doors open. No idea. They just, it's literally like, there you go. And you've got to see them. You've got to see that opportunity, and you've got to, it is a little bit about getting over the fear as well.
It's about first removing the blinkers, getting rid of the fear and removing the blinkers. And then when you see this whole wide world of possibilities in front of you, not freaking out.
Yeah.
Right? And then accepting that it's okay for you to want one of those better possibilities. And that, again, I think is something that women struggle with, that it's okay to want something better. And that doesn't mean that you're being ungrateful for what you have, or that you're disregarding it or discounting it in any way. But it's okay to want something better.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly okay to reach out and get it.
Mm. And I think as well, like that, there's 2 things I think that probably drive me now. One of them is, I don't ever want to regret not trying. And thinking, could I have been more? Could I have done more? Could I have given more? Could I have loved more? You know,
could I have been more? I think that sums up. Could I have been
more? So that sort of freaks me out a little bit. And also just a kind of knowing that nothing really, I mean, something bad could happen to all of us tomorrow. I mean, we could all lose our homes. We could, you know, we don't know what's around the corner. So why worry? So literally a week ago, I decided, oh, bugger it, I'm going to start a podcast. So I've set everything up. I've got my earphones, and I'm going to chuck myself in a cupboard at some point this week and record my first podcast, because I would rather try and it not be perfect, and maybe one person will listen to that and they'll make a decision that changes their life forever, and then that might impact their children or their husband or their work colleagues. So every time one person listens, that ripple effect is massive.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm quite excited about it, and I thought, and then I did the
That's
blogging.
why we're doing the series, the ripple effect.
It absolutely.
If it helps just one person, if it just helps one woman understand that there is more out there, that she can get it, that she can do whatever the heck she wants. If it helps even one woman improve her life in any way.
Yeah.
Right?
It's what I've just finished earlier on this year. I read a book called Emergence, which I just absolutely fantastic, and he talks about the ripple effect in there, and asks you to entertain the possibility that the ripple effect that you create could actually ripple out for thousands of years. So just as an example, and it can be tiny, so somebody gets on a bus, you're on a bus, somebody gets on the bus and they look miserable, and you smile at them. Now that person might have decided that on his way home he was going to go and commit suicide when he got home, but maybe because you smiled at him, something changed and he didn't. And so then maybe him and his wife, instead of his wife going to a funeral, maybe they had a baby, and that baby maybe made a cure for cancer, or saved somebody in a fire, or whatever. And it just goes on and on and on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
it's incredible when you think of it that way, and you realize that every small act that you do has the potential of greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's about taking that small step in faith, instead of in doubt, instead of fear, instead of doubt, to take that step in faith that I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know the impact it's going to have, but hey, you know what? I feel like doing this and I am going to do this, and may it help the right people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And
we need to wrap up. We are going way over time. I know we could continue talking forever, right?
that's my problem.
Let's see. I mean, we covered a lot of things. We covered a lot of different things, but these are things that people don't talk about. Everyone tries to maintain that perfect world, right? Even in business, with women in business, we try to project that, you know what, I got so many subscribers. I grew my email list by 500%. It doesn't matter if you had just 5 people and that multiplied to 25, by 500%. Or everyone seems to be out there trying to look perfect, look all put together, conform to the ideas of success that people have. And I'm really glad we had this conversation just to show that, you know what, don't believe everything that you see on the surface.
Oh yes.
It's more about, it's what's inside that matters.
Yeah.
Again, the same thing as the body image. It's not what's on the surface. People came to you to lose weight, but losing weight doesn't make you happy. Earning $1 million doesn't make you happy. Happiness has to come from within.
Yeah.
And more than anything else, you have to step up and know that it is possible for you. You have to want it. You have to know that it is possible for you, and you have to claim your space there. You have to know that you can get it.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that kind of sums it up. Do you want to add anything?
Perfect. No, literally just what you said. When you believe it, and when you open up to possibility, and you, my big thing is you start to vibrate differently. And when you vibrate differently and you do it more consistently, your work becomes less, because things happen for you
With ease.
And you know, it hasn't got to be hard. There is hard work to be had, but if your work is about becoming into alignment with your higher self and what you're really capable of, things will find a way. You'll find the right people, you'll find the money, you'll find the resources, you'll find the ideas, and you'll just keep moving along. And then just know that every now and again you're going to get a slap, but you'll be fine. You can cope with that.
Comes back to believing and having that faith. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us, Louise. Really interesting conversation. And I think
Thank you.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I've got my website, which is louisecartwright.com. I've got a Facebook page, which is My Happy Space, but I've got a private group, a closed group. They're all accessible from my website, so that's the easiest way.
Perfect. And I'll share the links along with the video when we publish it. Okay?
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Have a lovely
Thank
day.
you so much, Louise. You too. Bye-bye.